Well, I think we're live. It's Tuesday at 7. We're at Jill's basement. And as you can see, we're surrounded by cool stuff. But we're giving people a few minutes to sign on and to share. We're going to go ahead and draw Matt's gift certificate from last week. But as folks are signing on, pull up a chair, grab some Cheetos, grab a beer or a cold beverage, because I think we're going to have a great conversation this evening. But actually, if you go to Facebook and go to your account,
okay.
I tagged you. I think you should be able to share that. So folks, as you are watching this, there's a little share button in the very bottom. And if you press that share button, you could share out to your entire group of friends. Yeah, let me see. See my glasses? See, all right. Let me
It's on my,
go down here, see if,
oh.
so use your share button, and you can just share.
Oh my gosh.
So as you guys see there, you can hit the share button.
A little bit fat. Let me switch. Let me turn.
Turn left, turn right. The share button allows you to share to a specific group. You could share to your friends list. You could share to specific people. And for those folks who share, their names will go into a drawing next week, and we'll draw something cool that we're going to talk about in a bit. But in the meantime, what we're going to do is, you know what we should probably do is let's draw the
prize.
Share the prize from last week. So I don't know if you guys were watching. Last week we were at King Crow Tattoo and Social Club out on the west side. Matt Seal, who is a makeup artist there, makeup artist who's also a tattoo artist, went ahead and granted us an interview right there at the tattoo shop, and he gave us you have to let me know, a $60 certificate. And there were a whole bunch of people that I think are kind of revved up about the chance to win this. And everybody who's shared, their names are in this hat. And if you'll...
Don't hate me.
Don't hate me or love me.
One person will love me. Everyone else will hate me. Okay.
Go ahead and open that up.
All right. Person... Uh-oh. There's two of them.
There's two? All right. You haven't opened them, so drop
this one's more
the
open.
big loser. All right.
Okay.
And the winner is?
Mindy Crinch.
Mindy. Mindy, yeah. Mindy, I know the name. Mindy Critch.
Mindy Critch.
Critch. Well, congratulations, Mindy.
I feel like a school teacher. Yes. I feel like a school teacher not pronouncing the name correctly.
All right. Thank you guys for sharing that out. We're going to have just a very casual conversation.
Yes,
and as you know, if you're watching this live, and we hope that you are, you'll have the opportunity to go ahead and ask questions. And every once in a while, we're going to pause, and Craig, who's behind the phone, will go ahead and ask us those questions every once in a while.
Mindy says thank you, by the way. She's excited.
You're welcome.
And hopefully, somebody give us a thumbs up. Obviously, if they're responding, they probably can hear us all right. Thank you, Joe Gall. He brought us some of these microphones, which have really improved the sound. Cool. We've got some lights. Jill, you have some lights. Behind the scenes, and I don't even say behind the scenes, because you can feel free to step up and take a picture as well as Rex B. Hamilton.
I am curious if they can hear me, because I do have a very soft voice. So if anyone out there can hear me, please
let us know.
Let us know.
Sounds good. We also had, this past Saturday, we had a social event at the Maple Grove Tavern, and it was a great event. The intention was just to get people who watch this online to gather together and to talk and compare notes and maybe work on some common project at some point. And so that happened this last week. All right.
I apologize for not being there. I saw everybody who attended. I wish I would have been there. I have a sick kitty that takes a lot of medication now, and it's timed, and it's every few hours, and it's kind of holding me back at the moment. But he's worth it because I love him.
Because animals are members of the family for sure.
Absolutely.
Tell us about your cat.
My cat is Mr. Furley. I don't know if you can see this mask right here. This was the second prosthetic appliance I ever made, and that was the one I decided to audition for the reality makeup show. I don't know if I could actually say it, but so I made that. I sent in an audition, and it was very, very boring. I was just sitting there talking. I was nervous. I was petting Mr. Furley, and there was another audition 2 weeks later, and I thought they probably didn't even look at it because it was so boring they couldn't get through it. So I decided to write my own little skit, and I made it absolutely hilarious. It was really funny, and immediately I got sent out for the live auditions in California, and that was really what I didn't make it that season. That was actually going to be season 4.
Okay.
Well, the first one was season 3, then season 4, and because they had flown me out, I felt like, hey, I got really close, so I'm going to keep trying really, really hard, because getting that close, I didn't want to not make it.
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway, so then 9 auditions later, I finally made it. But I was flown out a couple more times. They say, it all depends on who they cast, and it kind of fits. It depends on everybody else, and it has to be like a puzzle piece, and
So your time was just a few seasons after that, or
right.
several seasons after that, right? So you started your first
audition
was season 3, and then you appeared on season 12.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so this was inspired by
Mr. Furley,
Mr.
my
Furley.
cat. Yes, I have a Sphinx, a hairless cat. Some people can look at them and think, how do you love that? It doesn't look cuddly because it doesn't have fur, but they're really, really soft, and they're the sweetest creature you could ever encounter. And they say once you have a Sphinx, you never have anything else because they are so smart and playful and funny and loving. And I got another one for him because they like to cuddle and they like to have a companion. So I have 2. I haven't made a mask of her yet, which that's another thing. That's one of my goals, to make one to match
for her as well,
for my girl cat. So
as I was kind of looking down your Facebook profile, and we've been connected on Facebook for quite some time. Occasionally I'll see a picture of the 2 cats side by side snuggling, or one paw on top of the other.
Yeah.
So what great companions for each other too.
Yeah, they absolutely love each other. They sort of have an understanding. Mr. Furley is number 1, and she agrees to just stay in my bed all day long, all the time. And then I get 20 minutes with her at night, and then after we're done cuddling and stuff, then Furley comes up, and it's this understanding. But ever since he got sick, she's allowed to cuddle with me now, so they're both constantly cuddling me, and she's always checking on him. But it really shows how much emotion animals have, because one day he was snoring and he wasn't really waking up, and it made us nervous, and we paused the TV and we're calling his name, and she got worried and she smacked him on the face, and then she smacked him 2 more times to wake him up, and it was really sweet.
It's kind of sweet, their interactions. Well,
yeah.
So your inspirations come from everywhere, and I shared a whole lot of photos over the past few days, and what I really enjoy about your work is it seems like you pull these inspirations from everywhere. And so I think it was a great place to start, to say, here's your inspiration with a pet.
It's a lot of times things that I love. I mean, really, it's my life. It's my life that I'm expressing in a costume form. So here's, the cat that I love. I grew up with gremlins. Who doesn't love? I love little cute little creatures with like big ears and just my like aesthetic is more like a cute things that like. But when you make it into a costume, it's creepy. So then it sort of works. I never really had that mind that's like horrifically scary. That's kind of one thing that inspired me about my husband. He's creepy, like as creepy as you could get. So I've been learning from him, getting the more creepy aesthetic. But it stems back from as a child. We had to do these clay like statues for elementary school, and I made a Care Bear, and I was like, "Oh, look, Mom, I made a Care Bear." Well, her birthday's on Halloween, and she had this whole Halloween like display every year, and she ended up putting that Care Bear on the Halloween display because it was so creepy. Which I didn't. So that just, I guess that's how I've always been, like this, this cute thing that turns out to be kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, and I think your work shows that too. But I mean, that's not all that I see in your work. And so take us back there. So and feel free, even as we're interviewing you, to go, oh, this piece, or walk off and grab a costume and go, this is what I'm talking about. So kind of the show and tell is really cool, because very often we're not around people's work. We're in a different studio, and for you to grab it and bring it up is totally cool. But you were talking about childhood. I mean, so this is varied work. Like, where did it all begin? I mean, was it the sculpting things? Was it drawing? Was it acting? Was it...
The first insight was that Care Bear. And then I thought, I'm a terrible sculptor. So that was kind of like put on the back burner. I did always really enjoy art. I loved drawing pictures like fashion, and then I took fashion design class in high school, and my teacher gave me an A, and she thought I was really good, and she said, you really need to pursue this. You need to go to Kent State. I had the grade point average to do it, but I chose instead to move out and be with a guy. I decided to move to Cleveland and pursue a relationship with someone, and I got a job and started the workforce, and was had a relationship with him and his family and things like that, and we were young, so eventually at that point I got my job at Josh and Paper, and he moved away, and I didn't want to leave my family and the job, and 25 years later, actually over 25, I'm still at that job.
Yeah.
So another reason for auditioning for this show, one point I wanted to make to people was that you could live like a normal, basic life and still pursue your dream. I really wanted to show, like, I had to make it because I had to show people, like, you don't have to stop what you love. You can do something with it, even, I mean, I went on that show and I still have my job and everything else. There's nothing that should stop you, is what and your age too, because I'm in my mid 40s. I wanted to show also you're not too old.
That's all to pursue dreams, right? And to attain them as well.
Right. But like in high school, so when I did fashion design, I was really into it. I was really good at it. I did do a little bit of makeup for the high school play. I didn't really know what I was doing then. I just played around with it a lot, and like putting it on my cousin and stuff when we were at my grandma's house. But another thing, also when I was little, I used to make dolls. So like my grandma, she didn't know what to do with me one day when she was babysitting, and she's like, I'll show you how to sew. So she showed me, and then I took off with it, and she had a bunch of pantyhose, so I made all these dolls out of pantyhose, and then Cabbage Patch Doll became really popular, and so I was making dolls that looked like Cabbage Patch dolls, and then I started using different material and like made one that looked like a legit doll, and so I really took off. Then I started making Barbie clothes and stuff like that. So it was all like based on like sewing, and I did draw and stuff like that. So I was really the fashion thing, like a lot. But then, so at Josh and Paper, they started having Halloween costume contests. So my first costume was I hand sewed the cat what am I trying to say? Catwoman.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was like on a trip with a boyfriend. We went to Washington, and I was sewing in the car, like on the drive, and everybody, like the reactions of everyone, I was like, it felt so good. And the next year I said, well, I have to outdo myself because I don't want them to be like, yeah, last year's was better. So then I made a life-size Chihuahua, like Taco Bell dog.
Yeah.
And that's when I started dabbling with like fur and stuff like that. And I made the whole head. It was gigantic. I mean, it was like 3 times the size of that, but I made it all out of like, I used a rubber ball and like foam balls, and like I fabricated it out of material and cardboard and whatever, and it was awesome. And then I was like, oh, well, now I have to do better than that. And that Chihuahua, I went downtown and I won best overall prize. I won $500, and that was really cool and felt really good. And I mean, all of a sudden when that stuff started happening, I had a customer, because I sell food packaging. I had a customer that wanted a cow mascot for a parade to do her ice cream shop. That's where I met the people from Bloodview.
Okay.
Because they were in the parade. It wasn't for Bloodview, it was for something else. And but they're like, well, if you like to sew, you should join the haunted house. So then I joined the haunted house, and then I started learning the special effects stuff, and then I started getting hired for beauty stuff at the same time, because I ran into a friend who did beauty stuff. And then it just started like happening, and I thought, well, this must be, because it's just naturally happening, this must be like my path, like what I really should pursue, and where it really started happening from there. So that was 2008. So that was like, how many years ago? Math is hard.
Yeah, so we got 12, 13 years ago. Right? And so tell us, because one of the things that I'm hearing is that there is you found competition. You also found some reward in going beyond where you were the year before. I heard it as you're talking about, I just couldn't rest on Josh and Paper at the Catwoman. I had to go to the next level.
And that's what happened at Bloodview. So that is a reward system, because it's volunteer, but they help to push you to get better by rewarding you for best makeup and things like that. So then I started winning those awards, and I thought, well, I have to do better. I won, so I can't lose now, so I have to do better. And I really love the haunted house. I love acting, even though I get nervous on camera, like I'll admit it. I'm nervous on camera, like being myself, but when I can be a character, it's just, that acting is like play when you're a kid, and it's keeping that inner child within you, which is healthy for you, and it keeps your spirits up. Everybody you have your mundane job, and you feel like an actual zombie, and that play just brings that happiness back that you had when you were innocent. And like another reason why I really love haunted houses, like some people might say, oh, that's satanic or whatever, but I feel like it's love, as funny as it sounds, because like parents will come in with their children, and the children grow up so fast. When they're scared, they still need their parents, so the parents still feel important, and it's like a bonding experience. And like people on dates go in, and the girl gets to be scared, and the guy gets to protect her, and it's just, I think it's like a beautiful thing. It's a way to get those reactions that you don't get anywhere else. And I like to be a part of that.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like a social experience, almost like riding the Top Thrill dragster at Cedar Point or something. You're like the adrenaline, your heart's beating, and you go there with a group of people, and you conquer it together, or you survive it together, and that's a binding experience. I think it's the same way when you go to an escape room or a hunt or something along those lines.
Like, you survived, you made it through.
Yeah.
You know, and then yeah, it's another way to feel that empowering feeling, like, wow, I did it. I overcame my fear. And I have a lot of fear about things, you know, I have a lot, like, anxiety and stuff. So, you know, doing things, it's another thing to share, really. It's like doing things like this show and, like, being live on the news, doing makeup and stuff. I'm absolutely terrified. Like, I'm like, you know, like, I'll be like, oh no, eyeliner, how am I going to do this? And it's funny because when you actually see me, or when I've seen myself on TV, I look entirely bored. I'm just like, here you go. Gotta be somewhere else. I don't know how that happens, because internally I'm like, how am I going to hide all this fear? But I mean, when you can do something that you're fearful of and survive it and you overcome it, that's a really empowering feeling too, because then you're like, wow, I did that thing that was so scary, and you know, feel so good after. So anyone that wants to try things, just know that there is fear, and it'll feel so good when you do it.
Yeah, yeah. So you did a lot of costuming.
Mm-hmm.
So as a child, you were sewing dolls and sewing Barbie clothes, and all of a sudden you found yourself with the opportunity of sewing full-size things.
Right.
When I take a look at your portfolio, I see that as a huge definer.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only do you have the makeup skills, but then you have these costuming skills that are missing for most people. I think that most of people are like, oh, I could sculpt and run a mold
Mm-hmm.
and create a cool appliance, but what do I do after that? So if you look at your process, creating a character, your inspirations, how does that work mentally? In other words, you have inspiration with with your loving pet. Is it a movie? Is it a book? Is it a thought? Is it something? Do you start with the costume? Do you start with an idea? Do you start with the makeup? Or is it all over the place?
I mean, honestly, it's all over the place, but I used to take walks all the time, and they say, like, when you connect with nature is when you receive, like, answers. So, I mean, I always tell people that all you have to do is ask a question, and then you'll receive the answer. And you receive it when you're not thinking about it, so you have to get in that mind space where you're ready to receive it, but you're completely not thinking about it. So, like, when you're walking or exercising or something, and you kind of get in that mode where it's, like, automatic, and then it just, like, pops in. So it's like, okay, I want to come up with something that's going to be kind of creepy but also cool, like, cute, and this is how I act. Like, you know, I have to be characters that I can be with my soft voice and my mannerisms and stuff like that. I have to be something that fits, like, for acting. So I'll just ask the question, and then I walk, and, like, it just pops in. I don't know.
I have a question.
Okay.
Sam White, he wants to know, Jill, what can we expect from you in the future? Any more face-off or any type of TV shows?
You know, their face-off is on Twitter, and they're always saying save face-off. I don't know if it will come back. If it came back and they asked me to go on, I would do it, surprisingly, because there's a lot of things from being there that were detrimental to my spirit, I guess you could say, like with negativity on social media and stuff like that. But again, you have to just do it, like, get over that fear. So if they call me, I would go. I feel like I'm better now. I'm a better artist. I have a little more confidence. So I definitely would like to redeem myself. If
you have the opportunity, but you also do new stuff, and I see you sometimes on live television. I also see some movies, some local stuff, and then I even shared that Grinch video, or of Taco Truck, right? I mean, those guys,
they're hilarious. Really
you guys see
funny.
that? That was awesome.
He does Grinch every year, and he wanted, you know, it looks like he listens to comments also. So he wanted to change the outfit to look more like the Grinch hair, and he bought the material from Amazon, and then he asked, can you make this? And I had a couple weeks to do it. I feel like something happened, but I feel like I was working on it for like, I worked on it for like 40 hours straight.
So you go to work, you come home, and you start to sew Grinch?
Yes, I would stay up, like hardly got any sleep at all. One Saturday, I had a hard time figuring out the hands because he had to be able to pick up things and do different things. So I was trying to figure out how to do that without like having to sculpt and like build a hand and all that stuff. I was trying to save time. So, I mean, it took me like from morning till night before I figured out those hands. So it wouldn't have taken as long if I knew how I was going to do it. But sometimes it's trial and error. You just have to play with it and figure it out. But if after that costume was finished and I looked at it, I thought to myself, if someone said, "Can you make this?" I would have been like, no, not a chance. But then, like, I just started it, and then I did it, and it happened, and I was like, I can't believe I just did that. I was really happy because I feel like it came out, it was a quality piece. It was really sturdy, and, you know, I put some time into it and make it nice and reusable because he wanted to reuse it.
Is that artwork here? Is that Grinch costume here?
No, he
I
kept
imagine,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they'll probably use that from probably every Christmas, right? For if they're going to do a Grinch. Will Taco Truck use that Grinch costume for other?
I don't know. I don't know what his plans will be. I don't know if he'll have a different idea for next year. But yeah, I was pretty happy about how that turned out. What I would like though, this coming Christmas, if he puts me on again, I want to sculpt his piece. I want to make the mask because the sculpt he purchased online, and I feel like I could make it more pliable, softer. Because I think sometimes when you purchase a piece, it's not as soft so that it can be reusable.
Yeah.
So I want to do that part and have my name on that.
Yeah.
So that's a goal.
Thank you, Sam, for the question.
Hi,
Thank
Sam.
you guys for sharing.
Thanks for the comment earlier.
And Joe, why don't you show us what we're gonna give? What people have an opportunity to win. You wanna? Let me grab this for you. So, and tell us the story behind it as well.
So this is a antique piggy bank. I'm not even exactly sure how it works. You put the quarter somewhere. I don't even know. I'm not sure how it works. But you put the quarter in the dog.
What's in his mouth?
Oh, you put the quarter in the mouth. Yeah, you put the quarter in the mouth and it dunks it. Now this, so we had an American Horror Story themed wedding, and so all the tables had.
Let me grab that.
It was like for every season of American Horror Story.
You got a good look at that.
Mm-hmm. And so that was on the tables for Freak Show, so it was like kind of a clown theme, and I wanted it to look expensive, so we went to a lot of antique stores collecting different things and making things and stuff like that, and that was actually one of those was on American Pickers, and I can't remember exactly how much he paid for it. It was something like between $300 and $500. And, you know, we found those. I have 2 of them. And we got a good deal. And I looked it up online. I don't know, like, if they're worth more if they're aged or
what it
or
is
whatever.
that drives
So
the value, huh?
I don't know what that value is. But, yeah, it's worth something.
It's
resell it.
And it has a sentimental because this was a centerpiece from your wedding,
yes,
right?
it was a centerpiece from my American Horror Story wedding, which actually, so I thought, okay, I'm doing all this work, I'm spending all this money, whatever. I was like, if I get the attention of Erin Kruger McCash, this will all be worth it. And sure enough, I did, and she invited us to a Halloween party at her house. And I didn't want to miss it, so we went. I got to see all the American Horror Story pieces and stuff up close, and that was really
You had full posters and stuff, am I right?
Yeah, I had posters made. So there's a picture from Hotel where she's like, there's like the stairs or whatever. So we superimposed ourselves. Like we had a picture where I was on the stairs and he was like had his hand out, and so she erased like the background and then put us on the hotel stairs. So yeah, and that's what everybody signed. And my husband makes tactical like armor for airsoft and things like that. So we had another poster that had nothing to do with American Horror Story. It was, it was kind of like 60s sci-fi where he had his helmet and I was dressed as like Barbarella, and we had that too.
Creativity on everything from wedding to what you're doing. If there's any questions, folks, shoot those out. Keep an eye out for those, Craig. And for those who share, your name will be in a drawing for
for a Trick Dog Piggy Bank.
Yeah,
you can Google it, Trick Dog Piggy Bank. It might be worth a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, and did you meet somebody from Pickers?
Yes.
How did that happen?
So the owner of our company, he likes collectibles also, a lot of antique things, and he had a lot of stuff. And I don't know how he met him, but he came to our store, and I wanted to meet him, so I ran up there. And another guy who worked there said, "Oh, Jill, does makeup and stuff like that." And he's like, "Oh, I really want to see your stuff." And I thought, cool, maybe they'll do a show here. So I started like filming all kinds of stuff. I had in my basement and everything, and he did buy a piece. So there's like kind of a spot back there. So I'm missing. He bought a costume and everything, and it was a flying monkey from Wizard of Oz that I made, and he hung it from his ceiling at the
shop. Huh?
Yeah.
awesome.
So that was. I didn't think that he really wanted my piece. I thought that he wanted one of Ryan's pieces. We sent him Ryan's piece, but it was my piece. I was like, wow, that's such an honor that he wants that. And then we shipped this whole mannequin there. It was big box.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us as we look back, and I'm imagining that you have a pretty good shot of the shelves behind us. As we look back at a couple of these, give us, pick out a few of these and tell us, these are some of your favorite pieces. This is something that was inspired. Take us through
Like
that.
how I got inspired.
How you got inspired,
sure.
like how it worked. I mean, if you have a costume, say, this one matched up with this, because I think learning the process is so cool.
Yeah.
I think it's a great...
How much can you see all the way to the left, that feather thing?
You can pick that up.
I mean, I could tell.
Yeah.
I gotta fix my belt on my pants. There's no loops. So I'll just go through and explain my.
Oh, let me get out of the light there. I got it.
So, okay, this one was kind of a disaster, but I wanted to make a showgirl costume. Honestly, I wanted the feathers. I wanted it to be huge and grandiose, but it was for a face-off audition, so I was trying to make it scary at the same time. So she was like a showgirl that was using other people. She was dead and using other parts to make herself beautiful. The costume came out awesome. So moving on, this was my Mr. Furley thing, and we didn't mix it right. This was the first time I actually made a foam prosthetic. We didn't mix it right, and it sank, and it just totally crumbled. So I made it this mummy thing, and it has a little rat hanging out of it, a little rat tail. It looks kind of like a real rat. It's kind of gross. And actually, this thing scared so many people at the haunted house. So it worked out really well, because you can't really scare them in the Furley costume. And then this, I have a Kia Soul. So I made a hamster. I made the whole costume too, the fur and the big belly and everything. And I had the sweatshirt that said hamster. And he's just a zombie because, it's Halloween. That was something I wore at my work. So he's all gross. And these ones, I wanted to make something out of silicone, so I made a cat, and then I turned it into a werewolf for the haunt. And then this is when I was a werewolf. And then this one, I would love to show the one back there, but
you want to come back? We can turn right around. I mean, we
Well,
can,
this
you
was
can
like
walk if you want.
like that Bodies Museum, like where they have actual people, and they use a process to make them like beef jerky or whatever, and they put them in like a pose in their activities. So I was really inspired by that. So this was like my first go at it before I started sculpting and stuff. And this is just latex, and like I have like moss on it, like that I painted, and I painted like the head and stuff. And that worked out really well, and I made like a skin suit. But then I decided, then once I learned how to sculpt and foam, then I made it like a legit one.
Yeah, you want?
So,
I mean, we can let's do it. I mean, we're
well,
that's
actually,
cool
that was
about-
on the Facebook,
Oh yeah.
one of the pictures. But this girl here, she's a Bodies Museum. She's aged, so she's been there a while. So this whole suit, purse, the purse is actual hair, and the suit and the shoes, and there's like hair for the shoelaces and whatever. She's a shopper, and she wears her own skin as her outfit, but it's cool because this is like a hoodie,
Oh yeah.
and it has like, I used my head cast to get my face, and I actually sewed this with a sewing machine, so people might not know that you actually can sew latex. So latex comes liquid. It's like, it looks like paint, and then you brush it out, and then it dries into rubber. And then, I only use like 5 or 6 layers. Actually, I think a little bit less.
Yeah.
Because the first time it was too thick. And it's like a pretty durable thing. So you can make so many things out of that latex.
Yeah.
And you can actually make an outfit. So I was...
Brandy Hollis wants to know if you have anything from the Phantom of the Opera.
yeah, actually...
Yeah, let's walk around. But
Yeah.
this is totally what people are going to love seeing.
This is just the piece that he wore, and I just laid it on top of this little skull thing. Like this was like an animatronic like witch, and we took her face off. But I ran out of like my little foam head, so we just stuck that on here. But, yeah, I was really proud of this too, because he said, we want to do Phantom of the Opera, but I want you to make it your own. But he was pretty particular about the white mask that he wears over top. And I thought, a lot of people, when you change something too much, they don't like it. So it has to still be recognizable to what it is. So I was able to make it like look like the Phantom from a distance, but still make it my own. So I was really proud of how I was able to manipulate that and make it overall look the same, but like different. So it was not a total copy. So I was happy.
Tell us about the with the pantyhose, right?
Oh.
Yeah, because I mean,
Okay,
from your very early age,
right.
you were.
This is definitely inspired by the dolls that I made. So I made all the pantyhose dolls. So I thought, well, I should make a costume like that. So yeah, definitely that's from childhood. I'm like, this is those the real dolls.
Yeah.
I always was fascinated by those because they look so realistic and they're human size. It's like a giant Barbie doll, I mean, what girl isn't like find that awesome? So, and they look really scary when you peel their face off, because you can actually peel their face off and buy a new face if you get bored with their original face.
Yeah.
So they're so scary, and they're making them robots now, like to where they actually talk and stuff. So I wanted to make a costume. I wanted to act that out. I wanted to be the robot that goes wrong, So,
Wow, I mean, amazing stuff. Now, you have some silicone pieces?
just a couple. So this is a baby. I was trying to do a newborn baby. And so this was for a face-off audition. And the whole joke, because all my videos were really funny, the whole joke was that I went to a plastic surgeon and I told him to make me look as young as he possibly could, but then that wasn't what I expected. And then I was having a hard time finding a job because I was older, but now no one wants to hire a newborn baby either. And then I ended up becoming the Campbell's Soup spokesperson, and that was the job I was able to get as a newborn baby. That was like the storyline. So yeah, and Campbell's Soup, I grew up with that. Grew up with Mr. Rogers. Grew up with Fright Night. That we watched that movie 100 million times. The windblown look. I don't know if you can see the windblown face. I was inspired by RuPaul. So they were like posing and doing sexy things, and like there was like a leaf blower blowing into their mouth, and it was the funniest thing I ever saw. And I was like, well, I want to walk around like that without the leaf blower. So that was how that came about. And this green alien up here. So one of my first memories of childhood, my parents used to always take me to the Hudson Haunted House when I was little, but they wouldn't let me inside the house. But we always went up to see the green alien guy who would walk around the parking lot.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, now that I'm doing this, I want to be the green alien guy and start memories for other kids. So that's where he came from. I remember my mom saying, like, I'm like, why can't we go in the house? And she's like, because they're killing people and there's bloody body parts and blood everywhere and stuff. And I honestly thought she meant for real.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, why would anyone want to go in there? Like, I don't understand. Yeah. This was inspired by American Horror Story. This was my first sculpt ever.
Oh.
So I wanted to try my hand at it. And I made a face, and it was out of, like, monster clay, like the oil-based stuff that is really hard to manipulate. And I worked on him, and then at the time I didn't know how to paint those. So I was like, how am I going to make this work? I don't know how to paint it. So I thought, like, brown paint would be easier. So I used, like, brown grease paint. And then he originally was just, like, a CSI guy. So I got to be a guy for a day, which was really funny because my voice, I can't even talk like a guy. But then I turned him around and made him the American Horror Story guy because I thought it fit. And
I mean, amazing stuff. But you know what? Is this your work on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's one that, if nothing else, I mean, I just the whole one more costume piece over here is. And this is
Bram
Stoker's, yeah.
Dracula, Lucy, yeah. So that's all handmade. There is a real wedding dress.
How long does it take? Does it take you to
make this?
Yeah.
This color. I don't even remember how long it took. I want to say at least a week.
Yeah.
Probably everything is about a week, like working full time.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't have a problem staying up and working on stuff and not getting sleep. Like, that's how I know I love it, because I don't mind it. Like, I like finishing it and stuff like that. It feels good, so that's when you know.
What was the process of that? In other words, so how do you...
It's, really, let's see. So it's, like, 2 different pieces. And I just bought, like, clear plastic and cut it into circles. And then I made, like, cones. I'm trying to even remember how I did it. And then I glued the lace on top and then folded it over and then glued it on there. I can't even explain. I can't even.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like... It's a sculpture in and of itself. I mean, you're sculpting on plastic with lace and...
I know the first time I tried it didn't work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap, how am I going to do it? But then, like, you just, again, trial and error, and then it happens. So, again, if someone says, can you do this? I'd probably be like, no. But once your hands are in it and you're trying, it happens.
And last but not least in this corner is this Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
That was a photo that pretty amazing.
That Christmas tree, I was inspired because I love Saturday Night Live. And they had, like, a skit on there where they had different musicians, and they were doing, like, a Christmas song, like a record or whatever. And one of them was Lady Gaga. And they're like, and Lady Gaga. And it was like this. Well, it had some bulbs on it, which I have. And I ordered them off Amazon, and they're in that other room. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a Lady Gaga Christmas tree, and I was doing it for my mannequin. And I was like, wait a minute, I should make this wearable. So I made it wearable. And I made it a mask. So I can be her too. It doesn't have to just be stationary. So yeah, it's my wearable Christmas tree.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea that you find inspiration in many things.
Yeah.
Whether it's you ask a question, you go for a walk, and you get an answer and inspiration, or
it does really stem from my past, or just things that I love. Again, my past, things that I love.
Sam White wants to know what's your favorite piece that you have done.
My gremlin, definitely my gremlin. I made that. That was for my. That was for my.
Back over here so we can get another peek at that.
That was for.
Can you see that? Should I tilt
Got
that
it.
light?
I was trying not to say the name of the show, but I think I might have said it.
Oh.
I guess it doesn't matter. But anyway, so when you do your auditions, you make a piece, which I made that skin woman, that Bodies Museum. You make a piece and you send in a video, and then if you get accepted to fly out, you have to make another piece within that week and fly out with it and apply it. So I made this in a week. So that's why I'm proud of it, because I don't even know how I did it. Like, the mold was so big, it barely squeezed into the stove.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. And then the amount of foam that I had to use for it, I used so many cups, and then it overflowed in the bowl, and it just went everywhere, and I was like, oh no, I don't even know how much this is anymore. I didn't know how much of the stuff to cure it in the end. Like, you put this little liquid in, and that's what makes it foam.
Yeah.
But if you use too much or too little, it could totally be a disaster. And I didn't have any time, so I just prayed and prayed and prayed, and I just threw it in the thing, put it in the oven. I wasn't even sure exactly how long to cook it, because all varies on the temperature in the room and how well your stove heats up and so on and so forth. And anyway, I took it out and it was perfect. I didn't even really have any repairs, and I was like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. So that's when I kind of knew I was going to make it, because it just happened so beautifully. I'm like, well, it must be my time.
Yeah, and it is. So I'm going to scoot back over here. We'll sit down for just a few more minutes as folks as we're kind of talking here. We've been talking for about 50 minutes. We've covered a whole lot of information. Sam's came out with a couple questions. If there's any other questions, I know that there's folks watching. Don't be shy about asking questions either.
Sorry.
Yeah, Rex is taking some photos too. So
I know, and I was actually just sort of drifting out, thinking about everything we were talking about, whatever. I'm just one of the horrible things about me is that I have resting bitch face really bad. I have a terrible affliction. I get called out on it all the time. And
is your pensive face? You're
resting,
thinking?
I don't know. I think it's just inherited. It's just how my face looks. So people think I'm, I don't know, standoffish or whatever, but I just want the world to know it's just my face. I could say, on the show, in the introduction, they showed me, sculpting. And in my mind, I was like, if I put my tongue, in my top lip, my lips will look bigger and I'll look better on camera. Uh-huh. So I was doing that thing, and my lips didn't look any bigger, but I just looked super mad. So already it was setting this terrible tone. Another thing I want to say, just to get off my chest.
Yeah.
The show did set a tone, and one of the things they wrote about me on social media was they were in my bio, they were growing up as a child, Jill hated her dolls, so she started to make her own, and that's what put her into this. Oh. But I never said I hated my dolls. I absolutely did not hate my dolls. Mm-hmm. I was an only child, so they were my best friends. So I want to clear the air while I have this platform
Well,
that
yeah.
I loved my dolls, loved them, and I, love the dolls I made.
It sounded like it was a stepping stone and it's inspiration behind doing large work.
Right,
Now,
and that's what I explained. So I don't know how it got turned around.
Karen Murphy wants to know, what is your favorite project to work on?
I do really like sewing. I really like making the costumes. So making costumes. I mean, I like the sculpting and stuff too, but just if you practice at something repetitively all the time, you'll get good at it. And I kind of wish I would have practiced the clothing.
I mean,
But-
you do a phenomenal job at designing these unique things, and you're like, oh, I've never done this before. I'll have to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
Make a Christmas
Where-
tree costume and
where there's a will, there's a way. So it's kind of like, what do I want to be? Okay, how do I make it? And then I kind of like piece it together in my head, like, oh shoot, that won't work. And then I like try something else. It's all thinking, like when I'm driving or whatever, I'll think like, and I'll see it happening, and I'll just know like what isn't going to work or what is. And so that's how, like, again, you just think it and then you figure out how to do it.
find a way.
Because everything's really possible. Sorry.
This is something that's a question that's of special interest to me, and that is, you've talked about how how it's kind of cool to say, I work a traditional work day,
Right.
and yet in the evenings and the weekends, that's when the kind of that passion awakens, and I'm creating art and I'm building things.
Right.
I'm the same way. I mean, I have a traditional job,
Yeah.
and then the evenings and the weekends, and I find myself energized. Again,
Yeah.
the same thing. I'm like, I don't need to sleep. I've got something
Right.
cool to do. I want to work on
Right.
this project. How? Talk about that. In other words, is your dream to eventually create full time? Is it you like the schedule and the challenge you have now, or what are your thoughts?
Dealing with the public, and I've been doing it so long, it's easy and it's comfortable, and I know that I'm going to get a paycheck every week. Whereas makeup, it's riskier. You don't know if you're going to have a job. It's like, you get these gigs, so it's like, here's a job, then you don't have a job, then you have a job, and you just never know how stable or secure it is. So, I've really been holding back pursuing it full force for that reason. Like, I have a house and a car, which don't matter that much. I guess if the opportunity comes to me, like, the best scenario would be, like Hallmark Channel or someone, and they're like, we need a makeup artist for all these movies, and we're going to film them back to back to back, and then it's like more stable.
Yeah.
Like, I would just there
Launch,
I go.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't even question it. It's just the stability is what has me doing the makeup like part time.
Yeah.
So,
How about for folks that are newer? I'm not talking about age, but they're newer and they're saying, I like to pursue costuming, acting, makeup, special effects, things like this. What are some things that, pointers that you could give them, or things that, if you reflect back to say, if I did it over again, I would do it this way?
Yeah.
Anything like that for
I mean,
newcomers?
practice
Yeah.
makes you better. So even no matter what level you're starting at, if you practice, you'll get good at it. Doing it over and over repetitively. Don't let people say it's impossible. It's definitely not. It's definitely possible. Like, when you're younger and you have less to lose, I want to say it's a little easier, like eating ramen noodles every day until you make it big. But if you're willing to do that, you will make it, period. I mean, like, I don't really believe that pipe dreams aren't possible. I just feel like you have to work really hard, and you have to practice, and you have to put yourself out there, and you have to make connections, and you have to make it like your 24-hour-a-day thinking, and you will make it, period.
Yeah.
And I hardly, I mean, I work my retail job. I hardly dabble in it, and I made it pretty far.
Yeah.
So it's just, you just have to want it.
Yeah. What does 2020 look like? Even if that's a little bit just vision casting.
Yeah.
What would you? Yeah, 2020 or 21 next.
Well,
couple
we
years.
we did that Dracula play a few months ago, and now they're performing it in Columbus in March, the end of March. It's like they made it to where they could now compete to be like the top. So I have to do that, but right now I'm not really sure because of the of my cat being sick and me wanting to be with him.
Yeah.
Like I have things that I want to sculpt because I want to get back into practicing that more. Yeah. So I'm thinking I might do it out of like the monster clay and do it upstairs like with the cats. It's sculpt while I'm sitting there with them and get some projects done.
Yeah, some studio time.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I just go with the flow.
Yeah,
It could be stagnant for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like call after call. Like one month, like every other day, someone wanted a beard for some reason. Like it's just like it all happens like all at once, and then it rests, and then it happens, and so.
That's exciting. It's kind of wait and see what shows up, and I agree. Sometimes that's where some of the best work comes in too.
I mean, I've been thinking like I've been at my place so long, but I'm debating if I want to go out there and fight for it. Like if you're starving, like you'll make it happen. So I'm like, should I just let go of being comfortable and make it happen? Yeah, I don't know. I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah. Any last questions out there? Sounds good. Well, you guys have about 30 seconds to type one out before we kind of wrap things up. For hunting, how does, because I know that over the past couple years you've done some makeup and was this last year at Cedar Point where you were spending a lot of time with airbrushing?
Yeah.
How does
So I was never really comfortable with airbrushing because they clog every 5 seconds. So I just didn't use it that much. I really tried not to use it on the show either because I think they were irritated with me for that, but I didn't want it to clog and then not be able to get my job done. So I don't know, it's uncomfortable for me. But someone suggested, hey, work at Cedar Point, and I thought, you know what, if I work there, I'm going to have to get good at the airbrush. I'm going to have to do it and rely on it and make it work. So I'm going to go out of my comfort zone again and see what happens. I ended up really, really liking it a lot. I miss it right now. So I definitely, that's another thing. I want to start practicing that more and get better at the airbrush because I felt like a beginner, like step one, I was at the bottom with the airbrushing compared to the others because they've been doing it year after year and they're so good. And, that was hard too because, I got better at this other. I got better at this stuff, and then here I am at like beginning stages. So, but it was cool. I liked it, and I'm glad I did it and got through it, and I'll keep practicing.
Keep practicing that airbrush.
Yeah, I want to get as good as Matt Seal.
Oh man, he's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Well,
really amazing.
Yeah, thank you, Jill, for spending your Tuesday night with us, for sharing your journey, your artwork, your costuming, your inspirations with us. Thank you for your giveaway for next week. And I'm going to ask you, would you all, at very least, like
autograph, even if it's a card or something that we can put in there. A Tuesday at 7 card.
Okay.
We'll put in there, and
Yeah.
so somebody has it can remember back to
Sure.
the show and see your signature as well. And for everybody who's shared and will share over the next week, your name will be put in that drawing for this really personalized gift. It was at the centerpiece of your wedding.
Right.
And thank you, Rex. You're taking some
welcome.
photographs, and so we'll have some cool photos to share. Craig is behind the camera today, and we have special thanks even to Joe because he kind of hooked us up with some sound here over the past couple of weeks, and so hopefully you guys are able to hear us as well. Have a great week,
Thank you.
and we'll see you guys next week, Tuesday at 7.